I tried something. Oh, never mind. We're live.
Yeah, very funny. Yeah, so Kevin will join us at some point. I'm going to call him. We're going to try to make this work as best we can with my phone. I think it'll work. If not, we'll just we'll do our best. But I think we should be able to work.
Well, you look good.
Excellent. Yeah, no, it's all. Thank you very much. You look wonderful yourself, Dan.
I showered before the show. I'm trying something new too.
You do. You're not only a powerful man, but a handsome man. All right.
Okay, what we were saying about Captain America?
Oh yeah, because Russ is wearing the Captain America T-shirt. This has nothing to do with the movie, but comic book sales have been kind of down the past 10, 15 years. They're more of a digital thing now, and Marvel did something very controversial that's setting the geek world in a frenzy. The latest edition of Captain America ends with him in the Hydra bad guy headquarters, and it just ends with him looking at the boss saying "Hail Hydra." So is Captain America a bad guy all along now? That's gotta wait till episode 2.
He's going double agent. Come on,
I know he's going. He has to be going. Even Stan Lee said that's really ballsy of Marvel to try. He would never do it.
Well, the whole. My son. It's surprising. First of all, the comic book sales are down in the last few years because I definitely they're more.
The actual physical purchase of them, the download is very popular.
Yeah, and the comic book stores are popping up everywhere. I mean, there's more than ever before, and I know because I live there with my son. Basically, it's his one thing to do when he saves up his money. We go to the comic book store. So. And then the whole new Avengers thing, which is out now, which is where all the Avengers have new looks to them.
Right.
New Hulk, new Spider-Man, new everything. I'm not a huge. I really don't. I mean, I get it, but I really wish that they wouldn't do that. I don't know. But am I just missing the boat?
No, it's marketing. They got to give them a updated look every 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
They can put out some new T-shirts and put out some new Funkos and put out some new toys and.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I get it. I mean, I get it.
Sounds like the Florida Panthers changing their jersey.
Yeah, I mean, Comic-Con's in Philadelphia this weekend, and unfortunately, I won't be able to take my boy to it because I'll be in San Jose this weekend. But
do you know the way to San Jose yet?
I do. I know. I can't fly there directly. I know that. I mean,
I'll give a spoiler here. I will be talking to one of the screenwriters for Back to the Future.
Oh, are you going to Comic-Con?
So I'm not going to be able to make it to Comic-Con, but I'm going to an event where I can interview him.
Who's that?
One of the screenwriters for Back to the Future. I forget.
Oh, that's cool.
All the there's a package you can buy. You can meet like Michael J. Fox and.
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, unfortunately,
it's on my website. Mike Del Tufo's going for my website.
Okay.
New York Comic Con looks great this year, but unfortunately, I'm in a wedding that weekend, so I can't go.
When is New York Comic Con?
It's in October, first week of October, so I'll be going to a wedding instead. But I know Stan Lee's last public signing in New York City is at that one, so he's something years old. I really wanted to go, but sometimes you gotta. Your friends take precedent.
Of course. No, I definitely that's something I'm going to have to consider doing because I think I'm really.
It's a good show. Wizard World does a great job. They do.
I'm dropping the ball on the Philly one. I've gone to the Philly one several times in the past.
Oh, I heard the Philly one was great last year too. They had like the whole cast of the Avengers there.
It was great. I sat in on the Captain America one. I sat in on a few of the really good ones. Boreanaz. There were some really good panels.
He's a big hockey guy.
Yeah, he's a big Flyers
from Buffalo.
Oh yeah. No, it is. Yeah, he follows me on Twitter actually. It's really I'm sad I can't go to this one. So and Back to the Future is definitely one of my kids' favorite movies too. So they're all going to be there.
If Son has a question he wants asked, tell him to text me.
I will. Thank you.
The funny thing is, honestly, I saw the first Back to the Future movie and loved it, and I've never seen the second and third.
Really?
The second one's not good. The third one, I like the third one. I like the third one. I thought they rebounded. They rebounded with the third one.
See, that's what I had heard by word of mouth that they were bad, and I just never bothered.
If I remember correctly, was the second one the Old West?
No, the third one was the Old West.
The third one was the Old West. Yeah, that was good. What was the second one?
They went actually to the future, and it just didn't work.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It was so complicated and convoluted, and.
It is. I mean, there's all these. I mean, you know what I've gotten into lately. We were talking about this last night. Kevin Allen and I went to dinner with Kevin last night, and we were talking about this last night. The photographs of people, the whole thing that's proving time travel. Have you been into these things?
Oh yeah. There's one at the JFK assassination.
Yeah, like where there's like a hipster like wearing like sunglasses that look like.
Oh, I've seen one where someone looks like they have a cell phone. I have seen that.
Yeah, from the 1940s, the time traveling hipster. That one.
Yep.
Was really interesting. He's wearing like a hoodie and got sunglasses, just like like the Wayfarers, and just completely out of time. So those things are fun always. That prove time travel exists, and they do without a shadow of a doubt prove time travel exists. These photos.
Of course, yes, of course, yeah. That Bigfoot and aliens.
Bigfoot's real, man. Don't screw with Bigfoot.
The abominable.
As if I learned nothing from the Finding Bigfoot show, it's that it's real.
I just think it's plausible that we could have we find new species of animals every year. It's very plausible that there could be.
We haven't had an appearance of the Loch Ness monster in about.
I'll say this much: I have constant Twitter contact with Renee Holland of the Bigfoot Show because she's the skeptic on the show, and let's just say we have a good time tweeting back and forth once in a while because she doesn't buy it.
No, I know she doesn't buy it. She does a good job on that show. How do you know her?
She does a good job on the show, though. She does.
That's how do you know her? Do you just
I don't know her. It's just from watching the show and chatting.
That's pretty funny.
I'm obsessed with the Mystery of Oak Island show. That's like probably one of my favorite shows on TV.
I'll tell you, I will give a shout out.
The whole family watches it.
Rachel Nichols, I forget which series she's in now. She's in a sci-fi series.
She was in Continuum. Big fan of that show.
Continuum.
Really good show.
She actually retweeted me on a Stanley Cup tweet because she said something cryptic, and I know she's a big hockey fan. She's from Vancouver, and she was like, "Is today Wednesday or something?" And I put Stanley Cup, and she retweeted. She's pushing for the Penguins of Mike Sullivan, and I guess probably because Sullivan was with the Canucks.
That's cool. That's really
also,
cool.
she's in Star Trek too.
I mean, not many people realize. Yes, she is. Not many people realize that the mountain gorilla, was discovered in 1906. I mean, and that was very similar to a Bigfoot thing. For years, there were these legends of this giant ape, that lived in the mountains, and no one really found him. And suddenly, they just happened upon where they lived, while they were discovering it. And before you know it, so I mean, the Bigfoot, I think, is very possible.
Yeah, we didn't know much in 1906, though. Let's be real.
Well, I mean, the coelacanth was extinct for hundreds of years, and they found one off the coast of Madagascar, like in the 50s.
Right, and just recently discovered that the woolly mammoths existed on an island in Canada less than 1,000 years ago. I mean, so there's crazy things like that. So there really are a lot that we don't know.
And there's a woolly mammoth playing for the Sharks, Joe Thornton.
There is.
There is no Bigfoot. There's none. It doesn't exist. It will never exist. There's no Loch Ness Monster. There's no Tooth Fairy. There's no aliens. There's no Santa Claus.
There's no abominable snowman.
That's the same thing.
Playing the part of Mike today.
Yeah.
You're playing the part of Mike.
Fishing of ancient aliens.
Let's go. Let's all go watch In Search of with Leonard Nimoy.
Oh, I have the box set, man. I just bought the box. It's an awesome show, especially In Search of Noah's Ark. Now that was incredible.
That was incredible.
Mount Arafat, we find a giant box with wooden cages.
The funny thing was, of that show, there was a phenomenon in like 1908 where in like Siberia where all these trees got knocked down. It was something called the Tunguska incident.
That's correct.
They had an In Search of and everybody thought it was like a sort of like a natural atomic explosion, and it ended up being a meteor. It was simply a meteor that hit the Earth in 1908, and they're like, for 50, 60, 70 years they couldn't explain it. I'm like, and you think about it now, it's like, of course it's a meteor. I mean, there was
what's different is it exploded in the air.
Right.
That's what really threw people off.
Right. There was no crater, but it was basically like a cacophony of sound, and it knocked all the trees down.
And then it could be a comet too. It's something from space hit. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. No, that's. I will not put that. We were not going to talk about what is being discussed in our time. Let's move on to the show. Okay, here we go. The show. It's June 1st.
Oh wait, hold on. Let me do the bell, because I was able to find the cutoff. If it would actually work. Okay, go ahead, because the silence works.
All right, a pause for editing purposes.
Thank you.
Hello, Hockey World. It's Wednesday, June 1st. No, damn it. I'm
What?
sorry.
What? You got it right.
You got it right for once.
Russ, you think your head, dude. You threw me off. Okay, sorry. All right, here we go. Another silent.
All right, here we go.
Hello, Hockey World. It's Wednesday, June 1st, 2016.
I'm Michael Agello.
I'm Dan Petru.
I'm Russ Cohen from Sportsology.
And I am Eklund, and you're watching the HockeyBuzzCast on HockeyBuzz.com. Today I am in Pittsburgh in a undisclosed location, otherwise known as the Media Hotel, which you can pretty much figure out if you just walk around, because there's one hotel that has Stanley Cup playoffs welcome on the side of it. And I am just in the shadows of the Kessel Energy Center. And today we are here to talk about hockey, and that's what we do every Monday through Friday at 1 o'clock, roughly.
Good, I'm in the right place.
You're in the right place, so if you're here to talk about other things, you have to watch the pre-show for that, where we talk about other stuff. So, we're definitely, I'm sure we're here, this is where we are, and let's move on, because basically there's a couple little stories breaking today, and I want to start with, of course, the rumor now that Nieto, this is the kind of excitement that the Stanley Cup brings you on an off day, may be returning and Zubers might be out.
Well, that's no shock. I mean, I brought it up yesterday.
I want to throw this out there, though. Zubers was very good in Game 1.
He was good. You're right. I think they're going for more defense, and I understand that. That's what they're doing. They have to sort of, if they're going to continue with the clogging up the neutral zone, then they've got to put more defensive guys in there to do it. And I think, they got a younger guy in there. That's what they have to do.
Right, I think they want to slow this team down a little bit. When the Penguins are going full speed, they look outstanding. And I thought the Sharks actually, all in all, I don't think there's any reason to panic after Game 1. The first period wasn't great, but they got things going. And I think this is just a move. While I did like Zubers' game, I think this is just a move to try and settle things down a little bit, maybe get some better possession numbers, and just have the puck a little bit more.
Yeah, it's a tweaking move. I mean, basically, yeah. but as I said yesterday, the one thing that I think the Sharks have to do in the first period is get more physical. They really, because that's what they did in the second period of Game 1. They started hitting a little more. They started taking the play to the Penguins, and that's what they have to do. And if they don't do that, if they fall back and do what they did in the first period of Game 1, then I think there's signs of trouble, because if you start badly 2 games in a row and get intimidated by the crowd in Pittsburgh, I think that's not a good sign for the Sharks.
Yeah, no, not at all. I agree. And along those lines, of course, is the rumors about Rust, whether or not he will play tonight or not. And I think he's playing. I don't think there's any
playing.
This is one of the strange. This is a complete message just to keep the story going, to perhaps help if another illegal hit comes along with San Jose. This is clearly one of those moves where they just want to be upset about the fact that they think that Marlowe should have been suspended, which I think was ridiculous.
This is another Mike Tortorella move here.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
This is totally like Tortorella, and I think that I think we're going to see. I mean, Russ was back. He came, he returned to the game, he played well. I don't know why he wouldn't play, right? Am I right? Am I wrong about that?
No, you're right. Because if you look at the role players they've really made their mark on this Penguins team. You have your stars, you have your Malkin, you have your Crosby. I mean, that's all defined. But when those guys aren't going great, you've got a lot of big goals from their bottom 6 and guys who were in the AHL in the beginning of the season. And the Penguins haven't had this in years. They haven't had balance throughout their lineup. And I know you're paying Phil Kessel a lot of money to be on the third line, but that line on most nights is the best line on the ice. So it doesn't matter where you play him in the lineup. I think people have to get over the defined roles of a hockey team. It's wherever someone works.
Mm-hmm. Is Rust having the John Drews playoffs?
Sure.
That's what Rust
scored. Did Drew score a lot? He scored a ton of goals though, right? He scored more goals.
Rust has 6. I mean, he's a rookie. He set the rookie record now for the Penguins. It's funny because, Eck, if you remember, that's the name I used when you said should he be on the World Cup team, and I said, well, he's sort of like John Drews, and I do think he's
right. Like I don't think he should be on that team, but he really has just done incredible things. That
played great.
And obviously, what you do in the playoffs doesn't matter if you're on the World Cup team or not. We've learned that.
No, what you do during the regular season doesn't matter. I don't want to get into a tangent because I'm still angry. What you do for Team USA means nothing. It's where you've been. It's who you know. It's like playing at the right country club. You got the good old boys there. I mean, because with Abdelkader on the team, there's a need for Callahan. Sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had a long talk with somebody about this last night because I had my WTF moment and I said this to somebody, and I never say this to somebody. I'm like, what the hell is Team America thinking not putting Phil Kessel on this team? I literally just could not imagine any scenario in which he shouldn't be on this team. I can't think of one reason why. I went through this. So I sat down with somebody who is very much in tune with the way Team USA is put together, and they said, well, they already have Patrick Kane. Patrick Kane he fills that role. And I said, well, wait a second. I mean, look at they have 2 scoring lines and 2 defensive lines. This goes back to 2010. This was the same theory.
How'd that work?
It worked pretty well. They came within 1 goal of winning the gold medal. But and that's their argument, And I said, but at the same time, I said, but Canada has 3 scoring lines. And they said, well, but Canada's got all these talented players. I'm like, but Phil Kessel is a talented player. I just went round and round in circles here. And then Justin Falk I brought up another one.
Yes.
That's the most egregious, I think.
It's like in no world should either Johnson be on this team over Falk and probably Shattenkirk too. Look, if you're gonna say we're gonna be balanced, well, how about you're taking away weapons that could help? You have to score goals. Well, let's look at 2014 when they couldn't score against top talent.
And again, you look at the constitution of this roster, and it fits John Tortorella. It fits the sort of the work ethic.
This team does not generally do things for their coaches. This is not a team this is a team that usually puts things together. The GM of this team put these teams together, not the coaches. This feels like a crazy fight. And to me, I just get so pissed off because it's like another thing that Phil Kessel's got to deal with here. And it just and the Canadian media is handing them a beautiful package gift.
I was on the conference call, right, with Dean Lombardi and John Tortorella, and they were thick as thieves. And I just have a feeling, in order to get John Tortorella to coach this team, because believe it or not, he is the winningest coach in American, winningest American coach in the history of the game. He is. I think this is how Dean Lombardi got him there.
That's ridiculous.
Well, he was selected for the World Cup before he was even hired by Columbus, so he's been in the mix. I'm sure that right now he said to Lombardi and Brian Burke in the hierarchy of USA Hockey, if you want me to win, give me the team that I need to win, and that does not include a guy who is immensely talented offensively in Phil Kessel, but sort of shuffles his feet to the beat of a different drummer. That's what he does. He is immensely talented, but he's a complementary player. And the thing is, you can't put him on the third line with Team USA.
He's the third line now.
I think he belongs in a top 6 role on any team. But that's. I think to Tortorella, he didn't want to have to cross that bridge.
Tortorella would take Stu Bickle over Justin Falk if he felt like it would make.
All right, here's the thing. I asked the guy this. I said, okay, so you don't want to put him on the third line. They said the same thing, Mike. You're saying, okay, that's their theory. You're right in tune with what they're saying. Okay, so that you are obviously smarter than us, but you're right along the lines of where.
Well, I'm not saying it's right, Ak. I'm saying I have trouble with that logic, but I understand what they're saying. They're saying, Tortorella is saying, you give me Ryan Callahan, you give me Justin Abdelkader, you give me David Backes,
and we'll lose 1-0.
They're going to shut the other team down, but I agree. You need guys to put the puck in the net. The problem with Phil Kessel is Phil Kessel doesn't fit into the team structure. That was the problem with him in Toronto. No matter what they tried to do, he was a free agent. He would do what he wanted to do. He didn't fit into the construct with Ron Wilson, and he didn't fit into the construct with Randy Carlyle. That's why they had to get rid of him.
The team structure of the Blackhawks, if we want to get real about it, he doesn't play the way they all play. But when you have skilled players, you deal with that. You deal with it.
Well, Tortorella wants everyone to be a third-line center or third-line. He wants everyone to be a checking mold. It's almost like a socialist mold. You will play hockey this way. I will suck the creativity out of you. Look, that's unfortunately what the Team USA is now. I mean, they have these guys in bottom 6 roles who are not playing great hockey right now. It's like you can put Phil Kessel and Kyle Oposo on the third line, and your team will be fine. Your team will be fine. You're not losing to Canada because of it.
Yeah. If Chris Drury were 2 years younger, he'd be on the team.
Of course he would.
In a way,
David Backes, right? So I mean, And I'm okay. Backus had a great playoff, okay, but so did Phil Kessel, for crying out loud. I mean, it's like don't tell me the playoffs are the reason that it worked out. I mean, at the end of the day, I said to him, okay, so he's your third line player, right? Fine, put him on the third line, put him on a wing, whatever. But tell me this: if you got Phil Kessel on your team, he's on your first power play unit, right? And they pause and they're like, yeah, I guess he is. Yes, he is. They admitted he would be. He'd be. Patrick Kane would go to the point. Phil Kessel would go, and they would have this perfect setup. And when you're admitting in a series in a shortened series like this, goaltending, special teams, all the time, right? So your power play has to score. You're taking away. You're literally handicapping yourself.
I mean, I'm operating as a devil's advocate here, but basically, I don't think Phil Kessel would have been on the first power play. He probably would have been on the second power play.
Still, he can score. He can score power play goals.
They'd be able to use probably him with James Van Riemsdyk, and I'm sure the argument that Tortorella is probably saying, well, we'll have Kane on one line, we'll probably have Max Pacioretty on the other line, so we have the snipers, but I've never been a fan of the structure the Team USA has done over the last 6 or 7 years, where they put together this team of here's a third line guy, here's a fourth line guy. That's what Team Canada did back in the 90s when they took guys like Rob Zaminer. It was stupid. You put the best players on the team.
Yep. And here's the thing. Thank God there's an under 23 team. And here's why. Thank God there's an under 23 team, because I would probably break my computer when Jack Eichel would have got passed over, and Dylan Larkin would have got passed over, and maybe Seth Jones would have got passed over, or got the spear. I mean, if Justin
Jones wouldn't have gotten passed over, Tortorella never would do that.
Oh yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. I forgot he was still at Nashville. But if you don't want Justin Falk on your power play and play bottom pairing minutes, I don't understand it. Anyway,
I asked my sources about this, and they told me that the only player on the under 23 team that would have been assured on there would have been Dylan Larkin. That he would have been on the team.
Trust me, Seth Jones would have been on the team.
I take Jack Eichel as my third line center any day of the week. And the other thing about
Tortorella wouldn't have put Seth Jones on that team, and he would try and talk to him in the regular season after that. No way. He was never.
Remember, I mean, they're going. Here they're going, but they don't really have their top center is really not even a center. But as things play out here, in 4 years' time, when the next World Cup of Hockey comes around, or what have you, you're going to have your two top centers are going to be your three top. You're going to have Larkin, Matthews, Eichel. You're going to have an unbelievable group of centers.
You don't know if you want Eichel playing in a bottom six role. Maybe they'll leave him home.
Right.
But there's already 5 or 6 Torts players that have played for him on the roster.
Yeah, I think you have to look. You really have to look at playoff performance with these kind of tournaments, because it is the kind of thing where some players have the ability to step up in the playoffs and do this. That's why I was always kind of curious why Canada never looked at Danny Briere in any situation, because in these situations you have to look at guys who can pick up, and they did actually put Claude Lemieux on their team a couple times. Basically, that's what this comes down to, right? And
listen, Brett Hull got fed up and he became an American and went on the Team USA. So
hey, PK Subban, I can get you your dual citizenship registration form. Just send your info down to me.
Right. I'm gonna go on pause for a second, guys, while I call Kevin Allen. He's gonna join us, and I'll be
sure.
You guys continue speaking.
Well, one thing I wanted to talk about with Kessel, and we'll get back to the game. It feels like Kessel. I don't know if you guys follow golf at all, but it feels like Kessel's Colin Montgomery. Like, we're at a point now where he just gets this bad rap, and we almost need signs there or buttons that say, be nice to Kessel. It's like, look, it didn't work in Toronto. It was a bad fit for him. It just went downhill. But I feel like he's been good in Pittsburgh. He's done everything they've asked of him. And it's like he's fit in. He fits in here, and he doesn't need to be the guy here. I think he's in a good role, and people still crap on him.
To an extent, Dan. I mean, the thing is, it's funny that Kessel was brought in to play with Malkin and Crosby, and he failed at both of them. Why? Because he's the guy who's got to be the center of attention on a particular line.
But that's not all his fault, because a lot of people can't play with Crosby.
Well, I know that, but Malkin usually is more traditional. I mean, James Neal played with him, and he scores as well as distributes. But Kessel, he has to, and it's part of the dynamic, and he's an extremely great, talented player. But the Bonino-Hagelin thing, that combo, it works because Kessel distributes, and they sort of take a secondary role to him. And, Bonino scores a key goal. Hagelin scores a bunch of goals during the playoffs. It works. The construct of that line works.
So
go ahead.
So here's the thing. So there's a company, onlinegambling.lv. They sent me some odds for the Stanley Cup. Phil Kessel is 6-1 for the Conn Smythe. That's kind of interesting. But I'll tell you what the most interesting one was of the entire list. It's an amazing one. The over-under on the total ounces of facial hair removed after the series, it's 22.5 ounces. I'm going over. I think it's over.
Well,
who's weighing that?
Yeah.
Somebody is.
Well, I'll tell you this regarding the Conn Smythe situation. I have this weird feeling, and this is just a feeling that's not based on anything I've heard from anybody. If Kessel's close to Crosby in terms of points at the end of the playoffs, that the Toronto media will vote for Kessel because it's going to be such a good story to talk about that the Leafs traded Kessel and they traded the Conn Smythe Trophy winner, and it'll sort of feed.
Yeah, but Toronto got what they needed.
Yeah,
I know. I mean, believe me, nobody in the Maple Leaf organization is complaining about that trade. They love that trade because they got rid of a guy who would not have fit with Mike Babcock. There was no.
Here's another good one, and it includes Kessel. This is fascinating. Who will receive the cup second from their team captain? Joe Thornton is the leader with 5-3.
Oh, yeah.
Phil Kessel, 5-1.
What's this now?
The
If
odds
the Penguins win, who is Crosby going to hand the cup to?
Right.
Okay, so if the Penguins win, I got Kevin on the line here, so I'm gonna kind of interpret because he can't really hear you guys, but you'll be able to hear him, I think.
Okay.
If the Penguins win, are there actual odds on this?
Yes.
Okay, so the odds of who Crosby hands the cup to are what now?
So basically, they're saying Phil Kessel will be the one, and he's 5-1.
Phil Kessel's 5-1, and then who's the other favorite?
Joe Thornton is 5-3. He's the favorite.
If the Sharks win.
If the Sharks win, well, Joe Thornton is obvious. I mean, I think Thornton. Huh. All right. I guess is Kevin. Do you think Phil Kessel's the first guy who gets the cup handed to him?
It might be
I was going to say that.
Yeah, Mike was going to say that.
Yeah, but I know. I think Phil Kessel. I'm trying to think if there's anybody we're forgetting. No, I don't think so. I think it would be Phil Kessel because he hasn't won, and Colin's obviously older, but he has won. That makes sense. I mean, they always try. Like hockey players, as a general rule, are pretty sentimental. So if there's been a guy who hasn't won, who's been around, or in the case of Phil Kessel, he's faced a lot of adversity in his career. That's another reason. So when you compound both of those, I think that's probably a pretty good choice.
That's what you're thinking. Yeah, Phil Kessel's a good choice. So let's talk a little bit about expansion, Kev, while we have you, because that's what I'd like. I'd like to get your opinion on this, and I'm going to try to make it. I think I'll make it so they can hear you fine. You after watching the press conference, what do you think? Where is your head at now with this whole thing?
In terms of
expansion, are we going to see it? Are we going to see it in 17, 18?
Yeah, I do think there's going to be expansion. I'm a little concerned about the possibility that it could be delayed, that it would be 2017, 18. If I had to bet my money down, I would bet that we're going to see Las Vegas come into the league now, and it will be 2017, 18. They've been tracking towards that, they've been planning for that. I think the delay has been caused by several factors, but one of the important ones was just trying to figure out how the expansion draft could work. And I think the reason why that's so crucial is they really would like to make sure that the expansion team or teams have a fair chance of competing much quicker than expansion teams in the past. So, and of course, one of the complications is the no movement clause. Trying to decide how that's going to work out. And I'm not even sure they still know exactly right now how that'll work. But I don't, it just seems like too big a coincidence that, we're going to make this decision in Las Vegas. And it's a no-brainer that it will work in Quebec City. But I think the NHL believes it needs Las Vegas because there's other teams actually need two teams, but they don't have them in the West. And I also think it's a market. I think though they say they're not giving much thought to it, they like the idea that they can beat the NFL. So, all those factors lead me to conclude that, we're going to see at least the team going into Las Vegas. I do believe that Quebec City will end up with the team. I'm just not positive it'll be in this first wave.
Yeah, some interesting things about that. Like I was thinking about this as well. So Quebec City it felt like it was a given for a long time, right? And now suddenly, okay, maybe they're not ready yet. Maybe the Canadian dollar is struggling. Maybe there's certain reasons why we're going to wait on that. And yet we've heard nothing about it, really. I mean, it's been amazing. Like, the Adrian Dater today is reporting, that it's a done deal for 17-18 with Las Vegas. They heard that. I think that's. I mean, we're not that far away. They said they were going to give him a couple weeks' notice before that. So we're getting to the time that it's going to start. It could start leaking out, right? That people are going to hear about it. It depends on how good that committee is of those 8 people there, I guess, who have to. How good their recommendation. But once you recommend it to all the Board of Governors, this is going to get out. There's no question about it. So that 2-week period before they actually announce it, we're going to find out something, I think, right? So, but there's
I agree with that. It'll have to be 1 year.
1 week. Okay, so we said 1 week. So that's 1 week before what time?
22nd. So
22nd.
15th, things will start. A week. Because they'll be recommended.
So we're talking 2 weeks from today. Yeah, 2 weeks from today.
It'll be the week. It'll be the week. It'll be the week of the draft. The week of the draft. The draft is right.
So, I mean, the thing about Quebec is this: the fact that nothing has come out that they're not getting a team, I think, is very big. My theory of the way the NHL usually works with these things is they are very, very big on no leaks. So, like, the idea here that and so if they were not getting a team, though, it's way harder to keep those leagues quiet than it is the leagues of we're getting a team, just shut your mouth for another couple weeks. You're getting a team, shut your mouth, that kind of thing. Did I be on to anything there, Kevin, or is that just thinking?
No, I mean, I know what you're saying. I agree. I mean, if you look back historically, and Gary Bettman has actually talked about that. The Jets ownership even appreciated the fact that he kept telling them, keep your mouth shut, and eventually it's going to work out. I'm going to get your team.
Right.
And they did that, and they both sides sort of mentioned that. And I just believe this, like, no matter what happens, Quebec City is going to get a team. Like, the only issue is, Gary Bettman is going to want to do it when he thinks it's right for the league. I don't know whether he thinks it's right now. But the one thing that we haven't talked about, which is really important, is we are talking a lot of money here. If they brought 2 teams, that's $1 billion.
Right.
And,
$1 billion.
If you take out the administrative costs, all the costs associated with that, talking about each individual owner, if they bring in 2 teams. Now, everybody likes to point out, okay, but that means are you bringing in a Las Vegas team that will be consistent and revenue sharing, which you're going to have to pay out. But I've had owners tell me in the past that when you've got a lot of money, having like $30 million a day is much more valuable to you than saying losing paying $2 million a year for 10 or 15 years. If you know what I mean, like even if there was a risk to that, you'd rather have that money to do a lot $30 million now, where $2 million a year, wouldn't mean all that much. And we certainly see that. So I think that has to be a factor that has to be considered as well. I mean, just the individual payouts to owners, and obviously that doesn't mean anything to the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Rangers, but I've been up here Greg Leopold in Minnesota, or Ariel with you, and $30 million.
It does. And last thing I want to before we let you go is ask you this question about this. Is there any benefit to bringing them in 2 separate years when it comes to the expansion draft? I mean, think about it. I was thinking about that this morning. If you're a team coming in, do you want an expansion draft all to your own, or do you want an expansion draft that you're sharing with another team? Essentially that you're going back and forth. I think it would be better to have an expansion draft all to your own. Where you.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that that makes sense because you're not competing.
Right.
So you don't have to worry about it. You know, if you want that guy, you're going to get, you know. So sure. But I think if you're the existing teams, you know, you prefer to lose one player this year and one player the next, you know, as opposed to losing two players.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that that's. I mean, that maybe, but I mean, wouldn't it be better just to have to deal with losing one player a year?
Well, not the way we're going to configure the draft. You know, the way we're going to configure the draft now, you know, your protection list is really small, and there's two important elements. Yeah, you know, if you look at the way it's configured, you say, okay, well, you're still only talking a fourth defenseman and a third liner, a guy that may be in your 7, 8, or 9 forwards, but the difference is that you have to make available a certain percentage of your salary cap, and that's where a lot of teams are going to have to expose,
right,
you know, players maybe that they don't want to. So if you're going to lose two of those players in the same year, you know, that could be, you know, it's not something they want to do. They want to just shake that over. But I don't even think, honestly, I don't think that's the fact, right?
Okay.
I think in terms of whether they decide with one or two teams, I think that's being decided on a much different level.
Got it.
And the one final thing I would say about this is I've been warned because, you know, we all know that this does not work well geographically in terms of having one team from the east and one from the west wanting to get in when we're already at 14 in the west and 16 in the east. But I've been warned by league officials, you know, privately, not to make too much about that because historically this league has realigned many, many times. It's never easy, but it always gets done.
Right.
So, as much as we think, okay, well, this doesn't work, 32 teams with 17 in the east and 15 in the west, naturally, that somehow
Don't make it work. Well, thanks, Kev. I appreciate you coming on, and we'll try to get you on again shortly, and maybe we'll have a computer. Maybe we'll just come over to the hotel. We can do something together in San Jose or something.
Yeah, I can do that. All right, sounds good. Yeah.
Thanks, bud. Talk to you soon. There you go. That would be Kevin Allen from USA Today joining us today. And sorry about the view of my hand like this. I apologize, but
here's my question, Nick. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, Dan. I think the karma. I don't know. You know, I had lunch with Kevin today, and I know he didn't really. The Carmona situation that's going on right now is a weird one. And Mike, why don't you explain sort of what's happening at this point?
Well, there's a lawsuit going on between Karmanos and his sons. Apparently, the family trust that was set up for his children was tapped for over $100 million to use for the operation of the Carolina Hurricanes. They're basically suing to get the trust that money back, and that's why I think Karmanos has been trying to get a supplementary owner, a partner, a lesser partner, to pay for a portion of the team and be able to put the money back in the trust. But I think, interpreting this, I think this is going to be the first step of this team being sold, and not to stay in Carolina, because I don't think you're going to get a ton of money to stay, or find an owner who wants to keep them in Carolina, even though that's a good market, and even though that's a market that's won a Stanley Cup. This is perfectly set up for the move to Quebec. The arena is there. You've got a big corporate owner who will pay, probably about the same amount that they would have had to pay for an expansion team, and they're getting a team.
Well, maybe not.
Maybe not.
Carolina's not worth that much.
Well, they're not. I know that they're a rebuilding team, but there are pieces there that are arguably.
No, the actual value of the team is under $300 million. Actually, I think it's like $200 million. So let's say I think it's like 160.
Yeah.
It's one of the lowest rated value teams in the league. So even if someone from Quebec City plays 300 or 350, they're still getting a bargain.
Well, Dan, the thing is though, and you know how it is when it's come to other franchises being sold. The number has been inflated. You can go.
Sure.
You can go to the LA Clippers.
It's still a value.
You can go to the LA Clippers situation in the NBA that was sold for $2 billion. But in the NHL, especially with like Arizona, Bettman wants to maintain the the monetary value of these teams. So I think it'll be more than that. Especially, how can you justify asking for $500 million for an expansion team when you're selling an existing team for $160 million? That would just make.
Well, no, I understand.
Well, you could go market, new arena. There's things that you could throw in there. But here's the troubling things. Karmanos is keeping the lights on for who knows how many years this has been, so they're not making a profit. So that's sort of been hidden here.
I thought everything would be better in Carolina. Yeah,
so that's a bad thing. And then the other thing, and this tends to happen in a lot of families, the kids clearly don't want the family business. And so this is the two bad ingredients for this. And it wouldn't shock me the same way as Atlanta if we wake up one morning and Carolina's gone.
Well, if I remember correctly, Russ, I know that the son, Pete Jr., was fired by the father, and I think he took a job with the Penguins because Rutherford was there. I'm pretty sure that he did. So they may have interest in hockey. They just may not have interest in their father tapping $100 million out of their inheritance for the price. Yeah. So I mean, I understand that. Believe me.
It's like a Gossip Girl episode all of a sudden. But no, I think the whole thing is. Here's an interesting twist on this, okay? That as you're speaking, and I'm sure that you guys have thought about this, and everybody's thought about this, but I'm just coming to the concept of this. If you don't give Quebec an expansion team, right? If you don't give Quebec an expansion team, that suddenly the Hurricanes become more valuable to Quebec.
Right.
So suddenly you can put more. Suddenly Quebec, an expansion team is worth whatever. I mean, they always say this is the value of 200, whatever. It's worth whatever anybody will pay for it. That's the end of the day, right? And if the NHL knows they can get the $500 million from somebody else, like Seattle or somebody else down the line, then they want to do it, like, keep their values up. The most money is going to come from Quebec.
Yeah, but the problem is let's say this lawsuit happens and it ends in the next month or two, and the kids win, and he's got to pay the money back. Then either the league's going to reassume the team and give the money to Karmanos to settle this, or he has to sell it quickly. There's no other way.
And then a gun is at his head. And then a gun is at his head, and then the value of the team. Once you know something is for sale, sometimes the value of that goes down because you know that they have to sell.
Not in this situation.
I don't think in this instance, no.
Yeah, not if Quebec doesn't have a team, because the idea here is if Quebec hasn't got an expansion team, and now we already know that the NHL could be playing that. It could be they could play this and say, okay, we didn't give you an expansion team, but here you can get this team for $500 million. So there you already were willing to pay $500 million before. There's only so many teams. And there's only so many players.
Overpay. There's no question about that.
But I think too is if you do this, I think this might be the plan all along. Carolina moves to Quebec, you expand to Vegas, and then a couple of years from now, you hope either Seattle or Portland get their act together, and then you expand out there. You don't have to, because then you add 2 Western Conference teams. You don't have to worry about realignment, and everybody's happy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and I completely agree. And I don't think it's been a plan all along, but it's starting to look like if I'm the NHL, I'm looking at like, okay, well, this is a plan. I mean, this is a way of getting the value of Quebec up. I mean, of Carolina Hurricanes up, because you have a motivated buyer and a motivated seller.
Right.
The motivated seller part is one thing, but now if Quebec doesn't have an expansion team, now you have a motivated buyer. So that's
the thing, though, and this is where we're not financial experts. But clearly the equity in the team is definitely down, considering the owner traded on a trust to keep it going. Right. So that lowers the equity.
Right.
And it does. It depends how motivated the buyer is. If the buyer just wants a team, it doesn't matter.
And I just get the feeling. I mean, there's a sense of deja vu here, because if you remember when Atlanta moved to Winnipeg, I mean, it was. Winnipeg being a landing spot for a team was in the air, but it was not like you heard this constant drumbeat of Atlanta's moving to Winnipeg. It was, if you remember, it was more Arizona moving back to Winnipeg, and then all of a sudden Atlanta moved. And if you remember, Winnipeg's ownership, they played with the NHL, they played the right game. They said, keep your mouth shut, don't do a Jim Ball silly and piss people off. Just keep your mouth shut and play the game, and you'll get your team. And you know what? They got it. Now, I think Quebec is doing the same thing, and I think eventually they'll get
the silence of Quebec is definite, okay? And because this, when you consider that a word for expansion is 10 days away, and nothing is even being written about Quebec.
Right.
Out of to me, the owners have gotten in touch with the press and said, "Listen,
Right.
we're not saying anything." Because the press in Quebec is in. They want a team there too, so they're in cahoots with the people who are trying to buy the team, and they know what's going on.
Sure.
Clearly, here is how. If you ask me for my opinion on this whole hurricane situation, it can be summed up in this. Hey, you know what? If they move to Quebec, bring that back.
Well,
Brian Burke won't like it. I know that.
Two Whalers fan.
If Brian Burke stayed with Hartford, if he stayed with the Whalers, they might still be there.
Tell me this, Dan. If they move back to Hartford, do you leave the Islanders?
No.
Do the Islanders still stay your team?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would
not
go back to
sell out 25% of the building if they had a building. Even if there was a new building in Hartford, they would sell out like 25%. That would be it.
No, that's just they could support Connecticut could support a team, but not Hartford. It would have to be in Stamford.
Right.
Stanford is where all the money is. It's where all the people work. It's where all the people live. It's where all the people eat and shop. Right. So I mean, there's and within the Stamford area, there's like 3 million people that live there. You can absolutely do it. Hartford is a mess.
Is there a mall? Is there a mall that they can build an arena in?
There actually is. Yeah, it's much nice. Yeah, but I said before, you can Hartford could make an arena out of diamond and gold, and they wouldn't get an NHL team.
Right. They're not going to get an NHL team, but I think
they can even build a minor league baseball stadium correctly there.
They're having all kinds of trouble with that.
Yeah, there is so much. I mean, you want to talk about some wheels getting greased up there? It's the people and politicians getting paid off. It's an absolute disaster.
Quebec could become the first city in the NHL. Think about this: Quebec could become the first city in the NHL to have a team leave and win the Stanley Cup, and then bring a team that has won a Stanley Cup someplace else.
Yeah, true. That's true. But the thing is, and this has got to be in the minds of the NHL, the untapped media markets, the big media markets that don't have an NHL team are all west of the Mississippi. Houston, Seattle, and Portland's not that big of a market.
No, it's growing. It's a great sports city.
I can tell you, I was in there. Houston is a lousy sports city.
I think Portland's a good sports city.
Portland's a good one. It is.
And so is Seattle. Seattle might be the most underrated sports city in the country.
Seattle's a great one.
Houston is the Atlanta of the West.
It's not that bad. It's bad, but it's not that bad.
It's not Atlanta bad, but it's not like great. It's not great.
But I think like Seattle or Portland would be a natural fit in a division with Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton. That makes more sense. But I mean Vegas. I mean. Dan, I think Vegas is 6 or 7 in terms of television markets in the U.S. now.
I think it's actually 6 now. It's moved up.
Yeah, that's why Bettman is salivating about getting in there and getting in there first. It makes
plus they're for once they would be the groundbreakers. They would be the first league to be ahead of the game on something here, and I think it's going to work. I absolutely think it become a destination. Every team's fans are going to want to go there. Right. And I think Las Vegas is an untouched sports market. It's a great city for college sports, and you can also bet on games too. So I definitely think it will do well there. And you have a nice natural rivalry with the Coyotes.
That's the worry, and that's always been the worry. UNLV has always owned that city, and anytime they've tried anything else, the XFL, the ECHL, nothing else has held up. And so that's what the holdup has always been.
But this city's much different than it was 20 years ago.
Right.
And I don't know how much a team can depend on like visiting fans coming in, but Vegas is already a natural destination. I know that going to Arizona and seeing a Leafs Arizona game a few years ago, you had 2,000 or 3,000 Leaf fans in there. Now there were snowbirds there from Western and Eastern Canada, but there were some people who flew down to Arizona in January to enjoy 70-degree weather while it was minus 20 in Toronto.
Plus, those casinos will make sure that the arena's filled. Comp tickets galore if they had to.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's no question. I mean, and I've heard some things that are really interesting, like the arena, they're going to be building luxury suites along the glass on the first level.
Interesting.
So that you would have a bar, that basically would sit where you were sitting on the bar at the glass. Can you imagine that? So you're sitting there,
That's awesome.
Well, I mean, for all the people that complain about the stands, the platinums at Air Canada Centre being empty at the beginnings of periods, if they put the bar next to the glass, those stands would be full.
It solves the
absolutely.
problem. Here's the thing: it solves the problem of where you're watching a Major League Baseball game and a lot of those seats around home plate are empty.
Yankee Stadium.
Yep.
Yeah, no, totally. Wouldn't it be awesome? I mean, that would be, and these are going to be the high rollers places. These are going to be, it's given away. You'll be able to buy them. They'll be like the local people. So yeah, I think it's going to be enormously popular. So that's all right. So before we get out of here, I've got one really interesting thing for today. Okay, and I was noticing yesterday as I was watching I was sitting in the media, the really cool media party they have, and I was noticing something about the logos of these two teams. Okay, so here we go. Check these out. Okay, so these are the logos of the two teams, right?
Right.
As you can clearly hear, first of all, there's extreme similarities between these logos. They're both triangles, right? They both have animals with hockey sticks. You know, how many teams in the NHL are represented by animals? And so throw me a number out, just without thinking about it. How many do you think? Because I know the number. I've done this.
Are represented by animals? I'm going to say 5.
5. Okay, you're saying 5?
I'm going to say 13.
Yeah, that's I was around there. So I said 12 originally. Mike, without looking at the logos.
You cheater.
6.
Well, Mike's right. There are 6, which is not that many when you consider. I mean, that animals have generally been the mascots of teams, right?
Right.
That's really low. When else in Stanley Cup history have 2 animal teams faced off for the Stanley Cup?
Bruins Blackhawks.
Only happened once. The Blackhawks are not just animal.
It's a hawk.
No,
Black Hawk.
No.
I
Don't go there. No.
It's happened once.
Bruins
No, I-
Canucks.
Canucks doesn't know.
And that's not an animal.
Canucks has a whale on their logo.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Got a whale on the
When the Ottawa Bison played the Toronto Moose before the NHL.
No. Let's think here. We can do this.
Pretty good. It's a pretty good question, don't you think?
It
It's
is.
a great question. I'm not even straining myself anymore. I'm done.
Right? Think about it.
It's got to be Bruins and somebody.
And there you have it. So it is the Bruins, and you think the other team would be?
See, the problem is the Leafs have that bear, but that's post-losing Leafs. They didn't have the bear in '67.
Yeah.
True. And I was trying to think, you know what? I'm looking on this.
It could be the Habs.
They're not animals.
UP is not an animal, though.
No. UP's like a Bigfoot, which doesn't
Yeah,
exist.
he is like a Bigfoot.
Right.
I don't know. Who is it?
The Stanley Cup final. Now that I'm thinking about, I'm trying. Okay, I'm going to throw this out there. What I think. I bought these.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
As I'm trying to search this, but didn't the Bruins and Penguins play in the Stanley Cup?
No, they're in the same conference.
Who?
No, but back,
No, the Penguins' first. The Penguins' first Stanley Cup was 1990. So
right,
and they were in the same. They've always. I think it is.
This might be the first time. Cool. Well, first of all, can we name the 6 teams that are named of animals? Mike, you got them there.
Nashville Predators.
Penguins. Yep.
Penguins. Sharks.
Yep.
Florida Panthers.
Right. Capital.
Right.
Arizona Coyotes.
Coyotes. Yep.
Yep. And the Bruins, right?
And the Bruins. Okay, so it's never happened
Yep.
before.
Never happened. There you go. So this is the first time.
The more you know.
You didn't count the Las Vegas Pearls.
Right, and on top of that, to just even make the show longer, to annoy everybody. If you look carefully, someone pointed this out to me. If you look carefully at the Sharks logo, it could very easily be in the process of eating the Penguins logo. Just check that out later.
Oh yeah, they do have a poster of the Jaws one where Penguin's swimming above and the shark is coming up on it. It looks like the Jaws poster. They do have that out there.
I'll end with this. The pet now, while sharks eat penguins just need to hang out with a dolphin because sharks are terrified of dolphins.
Did you see that video?
Yes.
That video is awesome. Check it out.
That's great, Mike.
There you go.
Mike, say something.
See, there you have it.
There you go, right there. Look at that.
There you go.
It's no problem. You can see there that the penguin, very simple. So, I mean, the fact of the matter is that
the penguin's legs are sticking out of the shark's mouth. There you go.
That's really good.
You gotta put that on the internet.
I will.
A little bit morbid, but yep, I hear you. And no, there's a great what Dan's referring to is there's a guy with a drone who filmed a bunch of dolphins chasing down and killing a shark. Is that what you were talking about, Dan?
Yeah.
It's an incredible video. You got to check it out. And the guy just, and apparently, I didn't realize the dolphins hunted and killed sharks for sport. And when I was looking into it, apparently they don't. They actually defend. So this shark might have pissed them off or something like that. But
sounds like a new video game. Angry Dolphins.
Angry Dolphins. Yeah. So
let's get on that.
It was a baby shark too, on top of it all. So I'm sure they wouldn't take on a great white, but a dolphin. But yeah, it was fascinating. These dolphins, they fought. This video is incredible because it's never been filmed before. Anything like this. This is just an example of be careful what you're doing because there's probably a drone watching you somewhere. Just be careful. I
ordered something from Amazon. I'm waiting for it.
Yeah, exactly. Have you seen the drones? The drones that follow you around? They're amazing. I mean, you just put like a little chip in your pocket, and the drone will film you throughout the day.
Yeah.
It's just what we need. Remember, without the buzz, it's just hockey. Talk to you soon. See you tomorrow.